live.
Now,
I can't tell you now.
What is going on, people? It is Saturday night, and next podcast is live. Don, what did you want to say to me before we went live?
No, this is confidential information.
Oh, shoot.
I can't share that all live on the air.
Top secret, people. Top secret. Yes, we get the info here on next podcast. But, what is going on, everybody in the chat? Yo, I gotta say, it feels really good to be back. We had a week off. I thought I was gonna have everything prepared for episode 100, but as you can see in the title, we are 99.5. And here's the reason, and I hope the panel will forgive me about this, but after camping with the family and everything like that, Snaps was sick during camping, so it wasn't fun for her, like all the way through. When we get home, I started to not feel so well a couple days after we got home, and I'm sick, and I've been sick for a few days. Not only that, I got a new graphics card for the computer. So I put that in the beginning of the week, and come to find out, it's not just a plug and play type thing. You have to like download drivers and get your computer situated. And
I just hear excuses this whole
OBS
time.
was not reading anything. Like I couldn't record with OBS. I couldn't stream with OBS. I had to get a plugin for OBS to work with AMD software. So guys, this is 99.5, and I figure we are such a unique podcast that why not have like another first? I don't think we've ever had like a mid episode, like a 99.5 or you know what I'm saying? Like we always went episodes like numerically right in order, never hit a decimal point or anything like that. So I figure, hey, why not? Let's do 99.5 today, and maybe next week we'll do 100. There was a couple ideas brainstorming with the panel about what we can do moving forward when it comes to episodes, but I'll keep that under wraps. K Mega is not here right now. He said he's going to be a little bit late, so I don't get to introduce him, but I get to introduce everybody else. So let me start off with the man who has saved the world. I'm looking at the calculator. 1,673 times. Of course, Dark Goldblum!
Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy to be here. Happy to be back. You know, another Saturday on the next podcast. Ready to get into these topics, dude.
Oh, I forgot to introduce you as a Sodi.
Oh, well, you know.
SOTE. He called himself the scum of the earth or something, like while we were offline. I don't know what was going on.
I didn't call myself. You called us that. You basically said that that's what we were.
Oh my goodness. It is good to be back. So hopefully the angry otter will chime in on all our topics today. Hopefully he doesn't get bumped out of Hangout. I remember episode 99. He was in and out. So hopefully it's a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with my internet at that time. It's weird.
All right, man. Well, let's move on here. And everybody's lights are flickering, and you know what that means. It is time to stand up, show that respect, kiss that ring, the dawn.
Hey guys, another week and another podcast, and I'm trying to make this one count because I'm not going to be here next week. But I am also multitasking. I have beef jerky cooking as we're speaking right now. So
that's amazing.
So, does that mean you're sending beef jerky to us since you're not going to be here next Saturday?
These arrangements can be made. You just have to make the request.
Well, I live right now, man. It's going down in YouTube history.
It's about 10 pounds.
Yeah.
You know how much the meat weighs before you try it out to get 10 pounds of beef jerky?
It's like 5 actual cows.
It may be. Well, I'm talking to the right guy. He's from Texas, so he has the hookup, right?
Right.
Oh, shoot.
Snake jerky.
He's just going to mail me a half a cow.
Wow.
Split down the middle.
I don't even know where to go with that. So I'm going to go on to the next introduction. The man with the funnel clouds over his house on a daily basis. He is a part of every single podcast out there, whether he's actually on the panel or he's in the chat chopping it up with everybody watching live. And of course it is Predator!
What's going on, everybody? It seems like it's been a while since we've done a podcast.
Dude,
together.
I feel like it's the first time. I'm like so nervous right now. It's so weird, yo.
I know. I'm just like, Man, it feels weird. But y'all know we got a lot of topics, man. Let's get it going.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And like I said, K Mega, he is. I think something happened. He had a foot massager accident or something like that. But he'll be in. He just said he's gonna be a little late.
I thought you said his corduroy pants were just way too hot, and he's trying to get something situated. I don't know what's going on there.
Dude,
Homemade
who
box
wears
fan with
corduroy in Oklahoma though, man? Like who?
he's got his own style.
It's weird out
He
there,
just
man.
rocks it, right?
We don't claim Oklahoma and Texas.
we don't even see it. We don't recognize it. It's not
Go
there.
straight to Kansas. Go straight to Kansas.
Well, guys, like I said, we were off last weekend. There was a bunch of news. I'm gonna start with something a little simpler, something to kind of work us into the bigger topics and stuff like that. So let's talk about No Man's Sky. It just released. It's called No Man's Sky Next. The game actually released on Xbox. I believe it was this Tuesday. And for people who own the game on the PS4, they're getting the update as well. It's a $50 game, which that right there boggles my mind because the game's like 2 years old or whatnot. But did anybody on the panel pick up No Man's Sky? Wow. All right, well.
My pity is still rest. I don't know who to recommend it for.
Well, let's start with Angry Otter because, nobody picked it up. I got to ask, Otter, what's the deal, man? Why didn't you pick up the game? What are you thinking about this game coming to Xbox? Do you think it's going to do good, man?
Nope.
No?
That's the thing. Like, I saw stuff on this game when the update came out for it, and I was just like, and that's when the game came out for Xbox, and I was just like, there's not enough there that I think would warrant people to go back in and play this game,
Dude,
on Xbox.
There were a lot of updates though, man. Like
it's updates, but dude, it's still the same game. It's still, mining for resources, like it's still the same crap over and over again.
Well, Minecraft says mining for resources might be good though.
Yeah, but Minecraft is a different beast, man. Like, this game is just all nothing but mining resources, and then you have a few combat here and there, and then you have it's basically rinse and repeat the whole entire game, and it's just like, I have no interest in this game. I don't know, I'm more power to you if you have an Xbox and you want to play this game on Xbox, more power to you, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Well, see, me and O-Snaps, you guys know, we have the game on PS4. And I do have to say, I went in before any of the updates, and to me, there was something to this game. I like exploration. I like, finding out stuff, within a world, in a gaming world and stuff like that. And there is something at the core to this game, that I liked, that I played and stuff like that. And now with all the updates, you can make your own base. You can actually
But that's the thing. Are you still playing it?
Well, see, there's a small game called Destiny 2 that I try to talk about.
Yeah,
on
see,
every
you're
show
playing
I'm on.
something else. You're playing something else. So there's no reason for you to go back. It seems like, from what you're saying, there's no reason for you to go back and play this game again.
I'm interested, but see, I also downloaded the Sonic Mania DLC. I haven't played that yet. It's just that with games that are kind of like persistent, that have milestones that come every week and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to pull yourself away from a game when you're you're farming to get your catalyst done, or there's always something to do there, and I'm already kind of dedicated to that game, to that universe or whatnot. So it's hard to pull away from that. But I do have some interest. I don't know, Predator. What do you think, man? Is this something that you might buy in the future? How do you think it's gonna do now that it's multi-plat? It's on Xbox and PlayStation, man.
See, I've been trying to be a smarter consumer this last year and stop buying games I know I'm not gonna play. I want to try it out, but I don't want to spend $60 to try it out. this is like perfect Game Pass game for me. Like if I liked it, I'd probably purchase it if I had a chance to actually play it, or if there was like a demo or something like that out. But I mean, the thing, my issue is it's like $50, right? And it's like 30, maybe somewhere around that price on Steam. Actually, I would think it went cheaper than that on Steam this week. It was on sale. And then it's like 60 on PlayStation 4 right now digitally. So like it's like the price differential is like pissing me off a little bit. I could probably go pick up a used copy for like $19 in GameStop or something. But for the PS4, I don't know. I look at the videos of this game. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're just flying and you're mining for ore or something. Like I don't know like what the fuck's going on in the game. And maybe I just haven't paid enough attention to it. But when it came out on PlayStation 4, I didn't want it then. And now that's out on Xbox, I still don't want it. It's just I think I would if I bought it, it would just because I've been hearing people talk about it. But I think it'd be one of those games I bought just because of that, and I would play it for like a day and never touch it again. So I may try it later if it drops in price here pretty rapidly. I'll pick it up, but I just don't see myself buying this
Dude,
game
so
right now.
some of the game is absolutely hilarious. Like you'll get out of your spaceship and there's like this for lack of a better term, like a retarded looking dinosaur chasing you, like with chicken legs and stuff like that. And it's literally coming at you to eat you. So
It's too soon to pick on dinosaurs. Too soon.
But Predator made a really good point when it comes to the price differential. Digitally, $60 on PS4, $50 on Xbox, and then you go over to Steam and it's $30, and they're all getting the same updates and stuff like that. They're all getting the same content. So I don't know, Pred. Do you think that's gonna? I've seen a lot of people complain about that. Do you think that's gonna be kind of like the big thing that holds this game back? Do you think they might drop the price like sooner rather than later, man?
I'd say give it like 2 weeks. You'll start seeing it come down. But to kind of match what's going on right now. But like as a multi-console owner myself, like if I was gonna buy it, I'd buy it where the cheapest place it's at because it's the same game. You get the same game no matter where you purchase it at. It may look a bit better on PC than it does on Xbox and PlayStation 4. And of course, you got the 4K. Did they put 4K HDR on the PlayStation 4 version?
Uh,
Not 4K.
no.
I don't know if they did HDR though.
Yeah, I think it runs 4K on the X and maybe 10 or 1080 or 1440p on PlayStation. But either or, it's just like with the price difference. Like, and I know this game was like $19 on Steam like earlier in the year. So for them to hike the price back up for a little, because I know when I saw the price before on Steam, it was like $40, and they dropped it back down again for the Steam sale. But it's still probably going to go back up again just because it's technically quote unquote a new release, which is really just an update for everything. But
It's a
just
2-year-old game, man.
yeah,
Let's
the
be
2 year
real.
game's been reskinned and stuff like that. And like I said, you could have got this last year for like $1 somewhere, because people were giving this game
And then
away
you would have gotten the updates like for
for
free.
free. Yeah.
Oh
So
my
I'm just
God.
gonna wait and see what happens with the price, and maybe that'll be something I pick up for a backlog game over the holidays or like next summer.
I will say when it comes down to it, I don't believe the game is a $50 game. And like I said, I've played it before. I didn't play it with all the updates. There's got to be more there. But we got it on sale over here. I think we paid like maybe between 20 or $30 for it on the PS4. Maybe like a year ago, something like that. And that I'm cool with. I'll go back on the PS4, download the content update and see what they have to offer. I feel like they're asking way too much for a 2-year-old game, no matter what kind of content they put in it. I think at most this would be a $40 game. At best, a $30 game. And I like what people are saying in the chat, and I believe Predator said it too about Game Pass. There's a lot of people really saying like this would be a perfect like candidate for Game Pass. I don't know, Don. What do you think, man? I know you're a developer. We made fun of some of the things on how they built like the game itself. I think they were using something. What is it called? Voxels or something like that.
We weren't making fun of the game, but we're making fun of how people were making a big deal out of it, right?
Mm.
The people that were taking it out of context, and those are the digital foundries in the world and stuff like that.
Well, we were. I mean, I was kind of teasing like when like you laser gun a rock. If you laser gun the base, the top of the rock just kind of floats in the air.
Yeah, but that's just what what the game is, right? Like
Yeah.
that's, you know, here's the thing. I am not excited for it now. I'm not excited for then. I don't wish them poor sales or
No,
anything like
no.
that. I'm very proud of the team with all the, I mean, they got drugged through the mud pretty bad, right?
And they still stuck with it.
They still stuck with it, and you know, it's good to be critical of them, but it's also good to be give them props where props are due on that sort of thing. But I still have the same problem with this game as I did before, regardless of how much they add to it. I'm a big fan of, even if it's a game not for me or whatever, I'll at least try a game and say, okay, I know this guy or this person I know might want to play it. And with No Man's Sky, like I'm still scratching my head. I'm like, who do I recommend this game to? And I can't think of a single person on my friends
What
list.
about people who play Sea of Thieves though? Because
no, it's not that game though. Because like Sea of Thieves is based upon the random interaction of people you're playing with,
true.
right? Right, like
Yeah.
that's where the fun kind of comes in. So they give you a bunch of tools. The idea is, all right, go on an adventure. We kind of get you started and see what unfolds, right? And so, usually you add drinking to the mix, and you got a party, right? So with No Man's Sky, I mean, you do have the co-op element now, right? So maybe it does add that extra layer, but I just don't know who I recommend it to. And I'm the type of person, I still don't know who I recommend Minecraft to, right? Like I don't play Minecraft, but obviously it's an extremely successful game in regards to all that.
I love Minecraft. I haven't played it in a while, but I can always go back in.
So there's certain games I just don't get, and this is just one of those games I don't get in regards to that. And I'm just as harsh on the media kind of blowing this up out of nowhere again. And even like the creator was just like, oh no, not again. Like he didn't want all that attention. He just wants to make a game and have it find its audience, and obviously hopefully sell well, but sell to the people that would appreciate the game, right? So I'm just as hard on the media on it. I guess my stance is kind of like, I don't know what to say about it outside of
I can kind of hear that.
Yeah, I give it props for what they've done.
Yeah.
I've been critical of where they fell short, and I think that's reasonable. And I hope the game finds its audience. I just don't know who those people are.
Well, huge shout out to an extended family member for the next podcast. Saltiest Gaming is in the chat, and he said it's worth like $10 to him.
It's actually $30 on PlayStation Store right now.
Well, I mean that brings up a good point, right? So I mean, if the game's not worth it to you, why complain about it being $60? Just don't buy it. And realistically, it's going to drop in price. We all know it's going to. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that to shortchange the developer. I'm just saying, like, when you feel it's worth it, that's when you should pick up any game. And doesn't even mean it's No Man's Sky. So,
I think I think I'm gonna go with the majority, like in the chat out there on social media, because there's even Predator said it about Game Pass as well. I can see this game going into Game Pass kind of like for the holidays coming up, a couple months from now or whatnot. Gearing up for the holidays, making Game Pass, just fleshing it out even more. I think it would be a hit in Game Pass because you're not using, you're not paying like the $50 or whatnot to play this game, but that $10 to kind of check it out, along with all the other games. I think that would be
you're saying like a 3-month window or something like that on Game Pass?
Yeah, I think they're gonna. What I think they're gonna
even
do
a demo would be nice.
Yeah, why not, dude? This generation, we really have not seen a lot of demos either, man.
Why do we need demos when we have Game Pass?
Well, because
if they don't want to put it in Game
free.
Pass, if they don't want to put it in Game Pass, they could put it in. Because
not every game you never get the achievement. You never really get a true good sample of the game, right? You always get some sort of weird build of it.
But
I would rather do that. Yeah, I'd rather do that with a demo than to spend $30-$60 on something that I can't.
I mean, I'm not even a big Game Pass guy, but I'd rather have it be in Game Pass and spend just a little bit of money and try it out that way. And if I don't like it, it's very low risk, right?
Yeah, if it's in Game Pass, that's better. If you have Game Pass, but if you don't, I mean, why not do a demo? If it's available, one or the other, I'd be completely happy with. But for me to drop $30-$60 on something that I'm not sure about, and it's $30 on Steam too. Now I'm looking right now, so yeah, it's $50 on Xbox and $30 on everywhere else.
What I have, Mad Jack, if you could actually kind of like explain yourself in the chat. I don't know what you mean by that.
What do you say?
He was like, because God of War did 5 million physically in 1 month, so if Magically Digital was 50%, it'd be 10 million so far as I care.
What does that have to do with No Man's Sky?
I have no idea.
That's
I'm
the
watching
thing.
the chat,
Like,
though. I'm seeing what people are saying. I feel let's watch the price of this game, and if it does drop quickly, I'm gonna put it out there. I think that by the holidays, this game's gonna be in Game Pass, and I think it would be a great addition as well. Plus, the devs, they will get a more kind of like constant revenue stream having their game on Game Pass as well. So I to me, it's more of a win-win going in that direction. And I think we're just going to have to wait and see.
It's like a shittier Mass Effect Andromeda.
Excuse me, guys. I'm still not 100%, so you might hear me cough here or there. I can't reach the mute button all the time. But let's move on to the next subject. And this is interesting because first off, I'm a huge Forza Motorsport fan. I like Motorsport. I'm really digging Horizon, seeing what they're doing with 4. But when it comes to Motorsport, the Motorsport 7 brought something out called either prize crates, prize boxes, stuff like that. Which what happened, Brad?
Black Rain. He's like, it's been a demo for 2 years already.
Oh wow!
It's been part of a preview program.
They don't have a preview program at Sony. The game
They did. It was No Man's Sky. Just like I'm not joking. Like that's kind of how that game was handled.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100%. But technically, if you talk to Yoshida or anybody at Sony, they don't have a preview program unless it's a game that they are backing like 100%. Then they'll say it officially released and then put the patches and the content in kind of like afterwards. But
yeah, that sounds like a tomato thing. But anyways, keep going.
But Forza Motorsport 7 had prize crates, loot crates, whatever you want to call them. When it was first introduced and I got to play the game, I really liked the crates and stuff like that. But starting this winter, they are taking them out of the game. So there were a lot of people that were complaining about it, saying that it really doesn't fit in Forza Motorsport. I looked at it as an extra way to possibly, get things almost at random. Different cars, different suits for your character, badges, stuff like that. I was digging it. I liked it. You don't have to. You can't buy them with actual money. It was within the currency in the game. But I guess there's this huge backlash when it comes to loot crates and stuff like that. And Turn 10, they're taking it out this winter. So let's start with the Don. Don, what do you think about this news? Are you happy that they're taking the loot crates out? Were the loot crates something that you kind of you spent time in the game with and invested your in-game currency? What's going on, man?
I enjoyed them. I really did. It wasn't something that was pay to win or anything like that. Sometimes you had a chance if you didn't have a ton of cash, you can possibly win a car that would have cost you a lot more, that sort of thing. I didn't play around a lot with that, but I played around with the two most basic crates, and those are the ones that kind of gave you the perks when you drove and allow you to earn more currency when you're playing. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting about that mechanic is those perks were random, so you didn't know exactly what perks you had, and it would change up how you did that championship. If you kind of get where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you approach it differently. Like, okay, I'm going to use this perk, or I'm not going to use this perk, or whatever it may be. And it was anything from the weather to how you take a corner or clean racing or whatever it may be. So it really changed up the campaign portion for me, and allowed me to earn more currency with really at zero to no risk. It was a higher risk as you go up to the bigger, more expensive crates. I think those were kind of ill-balanced, to be honest with you. But I don't think it justified removing them from the game. I think a lot of that is directed from people saying there's microtransaction in a game that has no microtransactions, and
Don,
it all stems from that, right? So
well, you touched on that, and like that was kind of like my next question. Like, I was gonna ask you why you think they're taking it out, and if you think that a lot of it is because there's gamers out there on social media who still claim that these are pay to win type crates and stuff like that. Like, do you feel that this is kind of like the reaction to that? And do you have anything to say to people out there that are constantly saying that these are pay to win crates and they shouldn't be in there?
I mean, that's the only reaction that makes sense, right? As far as that's concerned, is them
Mhm.
saying that and the perspective of that, or it's pay to win, or whatever it may be. Which is it's none of those things. It literally is none of those things. If anything, actually, it challenges the gamer more than anything else. So
Mhm.
it actually provides an additional layer of challenge because it gives you the perks, no matter which crate you open up. Sometimes you may, you know, you know, roll, and all next thing you know, you get a really expensive car on some of the more expensive crates, or some rare cosmetic
Well,
driver suit
Don,
that's useless.
let me cut you off here. Let when I was playing the game, there was some things like you would get like 10% or 20% more credits if you started at the end of the race, and then there's 3 card slots, and you can put in, starting at the end of the race, then you put like 10 perfect passes and stuff like that, and you would earn more credits as you would do those. And to
You would
me,
challenge you, and you would earn them,
yeah,
right?
that's not a pay to win in my opinion, man.
No, no, no. It gives you rewards for driving better. So, like, you know, the problem is we have a community out there that's very vocal, right? And
That is true.
I don't ever want to like trump someone's opinion, right? Like, let people have their opinion. Let them have this freedom to speak it out loud, and let's do it respectfully. But the same token, the problem is it's the ones that will beat people down with their opinion that sometimes gets the most attention, right? Versus just people that maybe going about it the right way, a more respectful way to the development community and other people that may enjoy the game or may enjoy the features that you like. So I personally like them in there. I'm sad to see it go, and it's really based on ignorance. It's what it boils down to, and it's unfortunate because there's other things that I think Turn 10 should be focusing on the game outside of loot crates. I think they should be more focusing on the multiplayer. I think they should focus more on the drivatar system on this version of the game. That's the stuff that should be getting their attention, not the loot crates.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go to the angry otter himself, Mr. Dark Onimus, who definitely thinks that Forza is not a niche title at all. And I want to hear your opinion, man. What do you think about them getting rid of these? I'm gonna call them loot crates, just to kind of like make it easier. I'm jumping back and forth between prize boxes, prize crates, loot crates. So we'll just say loot crates, even though you can't buy them with your own money. People out there, saying that there's a pay to win element in Forza. Do you think that's the reason why they're dropping these things, man?
I think, yeah, I think that has something to do with it. People are complaining about it being a pay to win. They have their opinions about it. For me, I mean, when I heard about the loot boxes and they were saying you can't buy them with your own money, I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, that's good. Then that makes people want to drive better and get better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to see that they're taking these out now, it's like, well, then there's no. I mean, there's still a point of getting better at the game, but like, there's not an incentive to get better at
Well,
the
I
game
think they'll
now.
still have modifiers and stuff like
You
that.
think
So
they'll still have like something in there to keep people coming back and playing it and stuff like that?
yeah, yeah.
Sure, but I mean, taking these out, I don't think this is like the right way of going about it. I think they should, you know, maybe reduce
The
the
prices.
time or the prices, yeah. The prices or the time in to get these these loot crates in the
So
game.
hold
So
on,
I mean,
reducing
it's
the
just,
time. You think like a limited time, and then they kind of like a reset day when it comes to Destiny. You have these boxes for a limited time, and then they flip them to something else, or
no, I mean as in the time in the game, like the
The
time
time it
it
takes
takes you
to buy them.
to get them. Yeah, the
Yeah,
time it
gotcha.
takes for you to get them. Yeah.
okay, all right.
It doesn't take much time for the basic 2 or 3 bottom crates, but it's almost kind of like the Halo system where like gold takes a while to save for, but bronze it takes no time at all. You just do a match, you know what I mean? So it's very structured like that. But I feel like the top tier, because they go above what you would consider gold in Halo, you're basically saving up for like a platinum. You know what I mean? Like if it existed, it's a big gap in the cost on the more expensive ones. So
I like I don't know. I do have to say with playing the game, I would accumulate a bunch of like in-game money, and I'd be waiting to get like a certain car or something like that. But I gotta say, those prize crates, those loot crates at the top of the menu, they would call me sometimes, and I would put down like 150,000 credits on a crate or whatever. Sometimes I got something really cool. Other times I kicked myself in the ass. But I thought it was another element on whether or not you're disciplined enough to build up the money to get exactly what you want, or if you're gonna go rogue and kind of pull that slot machine arm and see what you get there. Like I feel like it was just another option on how to get into this game, whether you take risks or not. And I feel like taking that away isn't going to do anything for the game. But Pred, what do you think, man? What do you have any types of feelings on this topic whatsoever, man?
Honestly, dude, I don't think I really used them, to be honest with you. I use like if I got like the little perks and stuff like that, I'd use them in races. But like as far as opening crates, I might have did that like maybe 2 or 3 times playing the whole game when I played it. So it really has no effect on me. And I haven't touched Forza in fucking months. I turned it on just now just to see how many credits I have. But yeah, keep in mind if you go to was it ForzaMotorsports.net, they give out credits like weekly. It seems like they're always giving out 50,000, 500,000 credits here and there, and just by winning races, you earn credits. So I mean, like it. I see why they put it in the game. I like the aspect of it, but it really had no consequence with me because I rarely use them.
Mm.
So for them to take it out, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Not a big deal.
Well, yeah, see, and that's another thing for people who actually follow like the Forza series, whether it's Motorsport or Horizon. They have Forza Hub out there. There's so many different ways to earn credits in these games. With Forza Hub, with taking pictures of cars and stuff like that. Just making vinyl setups and putting it out there on either like car auction or just the vinyl setup themselves. There is so many ways to get in-game currency in this game that I don't see why unless it's just what we've been saying. It's just that there's a misunderstanding out there about these crates, and instead of going out there and constantly trying to convince people exactly what the real deal is here with this, they're like, you know what, we'll just take it out. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what they're doing here. And it's really interesting to me because there's no Motorsport 8 like on the table yet. From what Turn 10 is saying, they haven't started making the Forza Motorsport 8. So this is the Motorsport for at least the next couple years. That's why I'm interested in this. Don, I know you're a motorsport guy, so I just want to ask, do you think that they're really gonna, because this is a pretty big kind of like tinker with this game, do you think they're gonna go in over these next couple of years and really kind of like switch stuff up when it comes to Motorsport 7 like this right here?
I think everything they do on Motorsport 7 is going to be able to be transferred to Motorsport 8. So they're going to be a little bit more prepared going into 8. You create a model for Motorsport 7. Guess what? You've already created the model for Motorsport 8, right? So like I kind of don't buy what they're saying on that. So I guess it's not pre-production plan, but just everything you do right now for Motorsport 7 is something that's going to be able to come over to Motorsport 8. So everything they've done into the latest Horizon, as far as just technical aspects, technically are going to be able to be carried over into Motorsport 8. So them saying that is just saying they're not in pre-production, but technically they're always in production of the next model of Forza, and there's no way around that. It's just,
Well, the devs have come out and said when it came to Motorsport 7, like, they were working on that game all the way up till release. Like, they just barely got that game out. So I can see them, like, taking a year.
Well, if you look at the level of detail in the cars, right? Like some of that's always toned down, so it runs on your X, right? And then so also runs on your S. Those assets, those cars with the higher level of detail that we didn't get in the final copy of the game, those are available. Those are going to probably be in the higher level of detail. Is probably going to be in the next Motorsport. Yeah. So it's not like they're going to redo all the models for all thousand. I don't know how many hundreds of cars are in Forza, but you get where I'm going with that, right? So it's kind of a true but not true statement. Is if you get where I'm saying? Like a lot of this stuff they have ready for the next Forza. Some stuff is not ready for the next Forza, right? So, and when they add car packs to Forza Motorsport 7, guess what? The higher level of detail vehicles, well, they're going to be available for the next version of the franchise. So it's in this weird, always limbo state. Anything you create for the current Motorsport is something that can be carried over to the next. So I just don't buy what they're saying on that.
With you saying that, I know, I'm looking at 2020 when I feel the new like Xbox hardware is going to drop, and I feel like Fable is going to be there. I feel like Halo Infinite is going to be there. And with you saying how like this stuff from 7 will transition over to 8, and the higher kind of like polygon count cars, the more detailed cars and stuff like that, I can see Motorsport 8 also being a launch title, like them really going all in and having like a killer launch lineup when it comes to this Project Scarlet in 2020.
I can see him having a more polished launch than say the previous Motorsports. Does that make sense? And so learning from those experiences. So the other thing, 10, is people don't realize with Turn 10, I mean, as talented as those guys are, they're like on the advisory board of certain things. They help develop the X, right? Like,
yeah,
they gave them feedback. Hey, we, for whatever technical aspects behind the scene. So they're heavily involved in that aspect of things too. So they're doing a lot more than your average game studio.
More than your average bear.
And they're doing more than your average first party studio in a lot of ways. So give them those guys credit where credit's due. If they need that extra bit of time and they have something that's even more ambitious to go forward, I'm just glad Microsoft's given them the time to do it. In regards to that, and I'm sad to see if I'm not going to get a Motorsport in 2019. Like, I look forward to those, but if it leads to a better game.
I have a feeling they have a bunch of extra content chalked up for both Motorsport 7 and then Forza Horizon 4 that they're looking at to kind of get people through 2019 that really kind of like faithfully play the Forza series. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think they're going to do.
Well, I mean, if you look at a Horizon, I mean, you have to wait every 4 weeks to do certain races, if you think about it, with the seasons.
Yeah, that's true too.
So that's intentionally designed from a gameplay mechanic and leveling up mechanic to keep customers engaged for longer periods of time with the product, right? And so these are things we keep talking about, right, and keep hearing about it in the news, but that's what they're going for. So it's a way to do it without like giving you something to do, but not like feel like they're holding you back, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, you'll have plenty to do per season, at least from what I see and how big the
dude,
world
I am hyped. I am hyped for Horizon.
You don't think they'll have like a toggle in there where you can actually pick the time of day or like the season?
No, they sort of said no. That's
week
not
by week.
Okay. It's week by week. So they're going to go from one season to the other. I think it's just a rotation is how it works, and it makes it so when people race in that world, even though they don't interact with you because they're racing in a world and moving on that map just like you are, right? It makes it so everything lines up, so you don't see a car driving on top of water, right? Because if they're
when you're in the fall.
if they're in a frozen map, and you're just like, what the hell is
That
how's
would be
gonna-
awesome.
How's like a hydroplane across that the water area? So in the or having someone sit above you because they're driving across snow, and it's all meant to tie together as far as that goes, but it's also meant to lengthen the experience.
Guys,
and give you variety in the experience.
Just real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Farscape in the chat, and I've been waiting on this chat, so I haven't even seen the chat go down live. I've been waiting on this for a while, but he's talking about like the loot crates. He says he tends not to use loot crates, but their removal feels like the consumer needs to be protected from their own inability to be responsive. Now, again, it's not your actual money going into these loot crates, but to a certain extent, I got to agree with him. It's like, the society today, it seems like a lot of things, whether it's gaming, recreation, or any other part of life, it feels like the people that are controlling these things are like, well, we need to protect you guys from yourself. And I don't feel like, I feel like this situation got put under that, and I don't necessarily feel like people should be protected from themselves, and they should kind of like learn to be responsible and disciplined. Again, with these loot crates, has nothing to do with your money, but it's like it kind of points to a bigger issue like in society. Man,
here's the thing: is like just like real world money. I feel like people know how best to spend their own money than our government. Mm-hmm. I feel the same way when it comes to this stuff, right? The people that are trying to baby people like on should it have loot crates or shouldn't or whatever it may be. I mean, the game gave us options. You don't have to go down that route, right? So I say the gamers know how to spend their in-game currency they have earned, and they deserve to be able to spend it however they feel like it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my view. I mean, I will always bet on the gamer that they know how to spend their in-game currency.
You said bet on this topic. I just want to throw that out there. Yeah.
No, but get where I'm going with that, right? I think they think so little of gamers that they don't know what to do with their time or their money, even if it was true microtransactions in a game. That's why would you think so little of fellow gamers? Does that make sense? Like, and then those that do, like, that's their choice. Like, why not have freedom in that? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, nah, no doubt. Animus, do you have anything else to say about this before we move on? You're a little quiet today. I know K Mega's not in here right now.
Mega's in here.
Oh,
no, Mega's here.
Where is he? Where is that man?
I see his icon.
He's probably getting set up.
Oh, okay.
He's probably getting his foot rubbed right now.
He got the foot massage machine off of his feet. It was a problem. It was a malfunction, but I think he's all good now. And,
dude, he has size 14 feet. He's a very stable man.
Oh, Def Jam says he likes the way the show is looking. Yeah, guys, again, I do apologize if you're looking forward towards the gameplay, but I have been sick. Graphic card issues, stuff like that on my computer, and I had to put something together that hopefully looked good. So shout out to Def Jam. Thank you so much, man. K Meg, are you here yet?
I have returned.
Oh, coming live from the 405, K Mega.
What's happening, everybody? I am here. Sorry that I'm late. I had an engagement that I had to be a part of, and it took a little bit longer because there was some adult beverages involved, and there was a lot of trash talking, and you know how K Mega loves that. So I was like, damn, I got to go do my podcast with my brothers, man. And I said, I got to go. So I'm here. So I'm sorry that I'm late.
Nice. So you were pre-gaming before the show today, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I was setting up for the pregame at Buffalo Wild Wings. But you know what? It's all good.
All right. Well, if the rest of the panel don't mind, I want to get you kind of caught up here.
Okay.
We talked about No Man's Sky coming out on Xbox. $50 price tag.
Trash. Next. Let's talk about something.
All right. Next. And then we talked about, it's something I haven't seen on a lot of like other podcasts, and the community, man. There's a show on like every day. But Turn 10 has decided to take out the prize crates from Forza Motorsport 7 starting this winter. And we were talking about whether or not it's kind of like the reaction to people not really knowing what's going on with those crates, still calling them a pay-to-win situation, even though you're not using your whole money, like your actual money or anything like that. It's all in-game currency. Dude, what do you feel about Turn 10 deciding to take out those crates? And I know you've played Motorsport 7. Were those crates something that you would use your credits on, man?
Yeah, and within the game. I mean, I didn't spend one dime.
I don't think they ever opened it up for that either. So
no, they did open it up to where you can use that, but I mean, I don't know about the money situation because I never used any real life money.
You can't use real money on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could, Mega, that's a talent that no one else has.
Right. Well, I wouldn't know. That's the thing. I never did. Anytime that I got me one of those loot boxes, it was because of the currency that was inside of the game. So it's a year, it's almost a year too late to take it out. But for me, it wasn't that big of a deal because it was an option. And it was one of those things that I've been talking about forever, is that people can talk up for other people and try to tell them like, well, we shouldn't have this because of this reason. But if there's other gamers out there that really want that, and they want to spend their hard-earned dollars for that, then you shouldn't tell those other gamers to do that. Now, do I agree with loot crates? No. I think that it's, I think it's kind of grimy. But, when you put into the factor of what happened with Battlefront 2 and how they were kind of basically trying to do the pay-to-win situation, then that was wrong. But with this, what was going on with Forza 7, they tried to put that in the same category, and it wasn't even nowhere near the same. Mm-hmm. And like Don said, like it wasn't even used to where you could use actual money. Yeah. And like I said, I didn't use it. So it's a good thing that they took it out. But this is a lesson learned. This is a lesson learned. I think everybody that they had a strategy of trying to say, well, maybe we should dip our toe into this water and see what happens. And it seemed like there was a damn shark or some piranhas in that water. and EA was the one to get their toe bit off, and everybody else is like, oh shit, we got to get out of it. So it's smart that they got out of it. But again, it's good for them to do it.
Nice.
It's going to come back in something else though, and it's going to be worse than what we've already seen. Like that's what people have to understand. Like, you remove this, then what is going to replace it? And something's going to replace it. You may not like it.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. I mean, I think for me is that like if it's like this for certain games and people don't like that, is like what you said, Don. They're going to try to do something else. And that's what I'm saying. When people keep saying we don't want to see DLC or we don't want to see season passes, we don't want to see that, they're going to recoup that money some way, shape, or form because these games are much more expensive to make. And if we want bigger and better games, we can't just keep with the status quo of just having games being at $60 and thinking that it's just going to be all right and we don't have to pay for anything else.
Mega,
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Check this out. I'm gonna piggyback off of what you just said there. Let's just be honest with the gamers out there. Whether it's DLC, season pass, microtransactions, or a subscription service, like K Mega said, the devs are going to get their money somehow. All right, they already lived through an entire generation where GameStop was really strangling their revenue when it comes to game sales, like maybe a week and a half after the game released, by selling pre-owned games where the developers got nothing for that. So,
which is the most important time to be able to get money for your game because it's a 6-month window, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So like that's, I mean, we've seen studios close down because of that. I mean, there's no reason why we can't have value to the consumer for whatever the industry is going to do, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is there's somebody's full-time job is to run business models and figure out how to get more money. Like that's their job. And so you don't like it in this form factor, they may come up with a worse form factor. And that's where I'm a little bit concerned going forward as a gamer, right? Like I'm sure I'll make what I need on my own personal project or whatever contracts I may sign in the future. So I'm not worried about that stuff, right? I'm worried about it as a gamer that, hey, you guys didn't like this, which I didn't mind, and gave options to the customer. Well, what are they going to do next if this didn't work out for them? they're going to find something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and that's the thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bot.
No, I just wanted to agree. Like a lot of people are coming out there. When it came to the season pass, when Call of Duty and stuff like that, people would complain about that. Even like nowadays, when it comes to subscription service, when that first came out, people were complaining and saying that wasn't going to be a thing, and how are the devs going to make money? But as you can see with Game Pass, devs are making money. Xbox is making money. Everybody over there is happy. The gamers are getting the games. Everybody's happy in that situation. So some rhyme or reason, whether it is microtransactions or loot crates, DLC with the season pass, or a subscription service, devs are going to get their money, which is what something we should want for them. So this way they continue to make more games, man.
Right. Well, and it's one thing that's it's a hindrance. Well, I don't even know if that's a word. It's something that hinders gaming, which is the publisher themselves, because there are people that they expect a certain number to be sold. I mean, just look at what happened with the second Tomb Raider. It didn't meet expectations, so they got upset. There were other games that were out there and didn't meet expectations, and so they got upset. I think that probably was one of the reasons with Quantum Break. I don't know. I mean, there's so many rumors about what Quantum Break actually sold, from anywhere from 2 to 6 million, but regardless, it still didn't meet expectation. It's one of those things where it's like, you damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're a developer. And as a gamer, I want the best. I want games to be at the highest quality that they can be. I want games to be bigger and better if you're going to make sequels. And what some people think is that, well, you can just go ahead and put the best into that game and just stamp a $60 price tag on it, and they're still going to recoup all of the money. But I think a lot of people don't think about the actors that they add involved, the tech that they include into it, everything else that's the side thing that really gamers don't think about, and they think that, well,
Costs a
it
lot
still
of
should
money.
be enough. Right? It costs a lot of money, and you don't think these actors, even though they may be some wash-up actors to the eyes of some people, because you don't see them in movies, or they have their shit go straight to DVD, but they still need their money.
Listen, Iceman is not a washed-up actor, and
I didn't say he was washed up. I'm just saying, to some people he might be. Yeah.
Here it comes.
Yeah. So,
well, here the industry is also having the problem is, one of the things that's driving up costs is to get that talent in place. It's competing with movies. So, like, if I'm a 3D artist, that's what I do a lot. So if my
oh shit, did he playing the music, really?
Yeah, you just let him roll. No big deal. Best just to let him finish. But anyway, so but going forward, realistically, a lot of 3D artists can make more money in the movie industry than they can in the game industry. And so you got situations where they're pulling talent. The competitive space to get talent is being pulled out of the industry because they can do other things. Same thing with programmers. They're like, you know what? I made enough money working at this company. I can create a couple hit apps or whatever it is, and kick my feet up, right? Mm-hmm. And so these are things that do compete in the game industry, and the way you compete with that. And money doesn't always solve the problem, but it at least helps hinder that bleeding that happens from talent leaving the industry. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why games are getting more and more expensive to make. It's not like it's taking more people. It's basically those people can get better wages in other industries.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, you look at how the gaming industry has grown, and when it comes to profits and revenue, like, they're making more than the movie industry altogether. So with that, you're gonna get an increase in kind of like the quality of production, and the money is gonna it's gonna get more and more expensive to make games as the industry is blowing up as well. But guys, I do wanna hit another topic here, and I'm glad K Mega is here. I was kind of waiting on him to bring this out, and it is a game that I know at least a couple people on the panel were really digging when it came out on Xbox, and it's a game called Hellblade. I know Predator played it on PC, I believe. I know K Mega played the game as well. I'm not sure about Optimus or the Don, but we're not just talking about the regular game. It was announced a couple days ago that Ninja Theory is making that game VR compatible on PC. So whether it's the Oculus or the Vive, you'll be able to play that game, download the content to play the game in VR for free on PC. Now I'm gonna just see people's interest on the panel when it comes to this. And anybody interested in playing Hellblade in VR on your computer?
Nope.
No? All right,
No.
so that's a no from Dark. What about you, Pred? You played it on PC. What do you think, man?
I don't own a VR system, so I'm not even concerned about it. And
The Acer's headset,
No.
it's only like $169
no,
with the controllers, man. I'm saying.
no, I just was never into the VR fad, however long it's gonna last. And even if I did, I don't think Hellblade would be the game I play on VR. I mean,
Oh, I lost him. Uh-oh. Pred, you there?
I
Yeah,
can hear him. I can hear Fred.
Oh,
I
I'm the only
can't
one.
hear.
And if I didn't hear him, that means nobody in the chat heard him either.
oh, shit.
Just repeat yourself.
I just said, can you hear me now?
Just roll with it.
Xbox is
Okay,
the best. Go ahead.
I haven't been on the VR hype train, and I don't see myself getting into this, even if I had VR. Like, I'm a one and done type guy when it comes to games, unless it's a multiplayer game. So, like, for me to go back and try this again in VR, I mean, this should have been something that was released with the game in the beginning. The
It's a
backlash
patch
that I
that could be
see
added
right now
later
for some of
on.
the Sony guys. Was that?
I was like, it's a patch that could be added later on. I don't think they had to put VR in there right at the release of the game, man.
Well, I mean, like, everyone's played it now. They're like, we're done with it. You know, they put it to the side, and unless you have VR, this is awesome. I mean, you might want to go back and check it out. But like I said, I'm a one and done guy. Once I finish this, especially a single player game, I'm done. I'm moving
Well,
on
check
to
this
the next
out. Country Gentleman in the chat is like, the voices in Hellblade messed with him when he was wearing a headset. He's like, I'm not adding VR to that. So I think it would
It'll
give
mess with you.
But I think it would give it more replay value now if you went and beat the game on PC. If you download that VR, the VR experience, and you have a VR headset, it would bring people back to the game.
Well, I don't
to
know
try it
if
out.
there's like a separate mode for the game, or is it just the same game just in VR?
It's the same game in the VR.
That's what I was thinking.
So I mean,
perspective.
yeah, they didn't add anything extra to it. I mean, and if I didn't have VR, I would not pick up VR for this specifically. I don't know. I've never been on the VR hype train, and I'm not going to jump into it now just because it's on Hellblade now. But the other part of this topic was like just the backlash that people are giving. They think Microsoft had the fault at this, and that has nothing to do with Microsoft. They just can't do it on the Pro.
Oh man, you're
it's not
skipping
powerful
ahead
enough.
now. You're skipping ahead. I was going to talk to K Mega, see if he was interested in that, and then we were going to go into the CD.
I'm just looking at the topic
Underbelly.
list, and it's all right there.
yeah. Well, first off, Mega, what do you think about this? I don't think you have a VR headset for your computer, right?
No, I do not. No.
But is this something that you might try in the future if you do get one, or?
I am still scared of getting eye herpes, and I said this on GRG last night. Like, look, man, I'm just being real, man. Once that doctor put that report out there about eye herpes, I was like, and I have never put one on. I've been wanting to try it and see what it's like, but once they did that report about the eye herpes, I said, hell no, I'm not doing it.
There's free clinics for that. So
You don't have herpes in other places.
Well, you know what? I don't have herpes anywhere, so therefore I don't want it on my eyeballs. So it's like, to me, it's like, I mean, it sounds intriguing, but in the same time, it seems like, I mean, I agree with Fred, is that, once you play that game, it's really difficult to go back to it. I mean, I'm like 10 points away from having it
But
completely.
Hold on, didn't
completely,
Resident Evil 7 like not have VR right off the bat, and they put it in later?
Right, and there's so many people that said it is awesome for VR. Now, like I said, I do have Resident Evil 7. I have not played it yet. I'm gonna stream it so people can hear me sound like a big bitch. But as for right now, I'm not worried about VR. And I've heard that VR is really good for Resident Evil 7. It's not my cup of tea like that. There's only really two games that I could actually really make me want to get a VR, and that's House of the Dead. And if there was some kind of like Supreme Warrior that was on the Sega CD, if anybody could go back to those times, those type of games, I would be all for VR. But Hellblade, no. I
All right.
just it's one and done for me.
I want shout out to Z Black Rider. He asked if the game was compatible with Windows VR. And dude, I gotta tell you, I am not sure. I do know that the Steam version is the one that is getting the VR content, the patch or the update to download. So I do not know. I will look it up and I'll probably hit you up on Twitter and let you know for sure if it is or not. But let's get to the second part, which Predator already touched on. Is I saw social media and so many like hardcore PlayStation fans, and I'm talking like those extremists out there. They went from like seeing if the game was going to get VR on the PlayStation VR, and when Ninja Theory said no, they went immediately to, well, you're choking out your fans by selling out and going strictly first party with Xbox, and it would you should tone down the game or the VR experience more so this way the PlayStation VR can get it. And they were just going in on Ninja Theory, and I gotta say, huge shout out to Ninja Theory, because the developers, they kept their wits, they stayed calm, they answered politely until it got out of control, and then they didn't even respond anymore. But I gotta say, well, Pred, since you brought it up, maybe you could flesh out like your thought on this. Like, do people going out attacking Ninja Theory for this, like, do they have any kind of like anything to stand on here in terms of this game should be in VR on the PSVR as well?
No, because they actually came out and made a statement on it of why it's not there. I mean, like sometimes people just don't want to believe the truth. I mean, it's right there. He says it's not powerful enough to do this, so we can only do this on PC.
On
So,
high-end PCs.
yeah. So I mean, like there you go, people. I mean, like if you want to play VR and Hellblade, there's a system for you.
And it's going to cost you money,
It's gonna
man.
cost you some money.
It's going to cost you money. Dark Animus, what do you think about this? Did you see the backlash on like Ninja Theory's Twitter and what was going on there? What do you think about people? It just like the tide like grew really quickly. They're like, oh, is it coming to PlayStation VR? And they're like, well, no, it's for high-end PCs. And then they just went in on Ninja Theory, basically calling them traitors and stuff like that. What do you think, man?
I saw it and I laughed because it just makes these people look like a bunch of fifth graders, man. That's what it makes them look like. It's like, come on, guys.
Theory,
Like you guys got to realize, like, these guys do their best to try to give us the games that they would think that we would like. And Hellblade is probably one of the best games of last year. Like, that game absolutely blew a lot of the other games out of the water, just for the simple fact of it being an indie game. Like, it was just like, wow, this is crazy to see something like this just come straight to digital without going to physical or whatever. It's just, it boggles my mind when I see people get on Twitter and start going off and saying, oh, well, these guys, you guys got bought out by Xbox, and now you're trading against the PlayStation brand. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. We had to put this game on a high-end PC as a VR, and that's how we had to do it. I mean, Ninja Theory was very calm about it. Very,
yeah,
like,
I gotta give them a lot of
you know.
props for like not like flipping out on these people, because they just kept hammering them home, man.
And that goes to show you that people do not know how to act in terms of when it comes to things like this. This sounds like to me that these people just want to they want what they want, and if they can't get what they want, they just want to
Dog what they don't have.
Trash everything that they don't have. Yeah, it's like, come on, guys. Like, when I saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? Really? Like, people were just going off on this already. Like they didn't. Ninja Theory didn't even come out with a statement yet as to why they're not putting it on PS4. On PSVR. Like they just said no, it's not coming to PSVR, and then all of a sudden these people are like flipping out, and it's like, okay, but why are you flipping out about this? This is not even that big of a deal. Like, it's VR. Like,
They probably know
VR is
VR. Most of the people complaining.
well,
Yeah, that's
well,
what's
that's the
funny.
thing. It's over. Like, I feel like the VR trend has been over for a while now. I
I'm
don't see it
disappointed that
going any
Xbox is not
further.
doing VR right now, and I've come out and I've stated
I'm
that.
not.
They've seen the light. I think they've seen. I think they've seen it.
I'm
Right?
not. I've
They've
seen the,
seen
the, the, the writing on the walls, like they've
it. Right.
seen that it's not gonna go any further than what it is already in gaming. Now VR is definitely gonna be something different for, film or uh technology wise, it's going to be different for, like, military wise or whatever. And I think, it's not really, gaming is really what's pushing it. I think it's really just, you know a gimmick, really, and that's how I saw it in the beginning. But I think, these people going off on this is just stop.
It's
Just
ridiculous.
stop doing that.
Well, yo,
Just
shout out to the Ruham in the chat because he stated that's what's funny is Xbox guys did the same thing with Spider-Man. I just wanna
No.
state here, Spider-Man when Spider-Man titles came out, they were always multi-plat. So that's why people were expecting the next Spider-Man to also be multi-plat. I think that is a different situation than what you got with Hellblade.
Well, it's a different situation, period, because of the fact that it's published by Sony. Spider-Man is published by Sony. Everybody knew it was published by Sony. So why would it come to Xbox? If you're complaining that it's not coming to Xbox, then I hate to tell you, but go out and buy a PS4 because they're cheap right now. You can buy them. You can buy a Slim for $300. You can buy it. You can probably buy a used one for freaking 250 or less. Like, just go out and buy one, or just suck it up and play the other games.
Calm down.
I
Like,
love the
play.
pause in
Calm
between
down.
that. Or just suck it up.
Did you just say suck it up, Buttercup?
But
Yeah,
no,
suck it up, Buttercup, and you know what comes out a week after that? Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Get that game. Play that.
Man,
You
I don't
know,
know if I
like-
can swing
like,
that
if
game,
you-
man. But I want it. I want it. That's for sure.
No, I mean, I'm definitely picking up Spider-Man Day One. Like, that's gonna be
Oh,
my
hell yeah.
game for probably September. Like, that's gonna take me all the way through September or whatever. So I mean, like, it doesn't bother me that it's not coming to Xbox, but there are those people out there that refuse to get a PlayStation because of the fact that Spider-Man's coming to PlayStation.
Hmm.
And it's like, why? Like, because you're such a fan of Xbox? Like, that doesn't. I don't comprehend that whole fanboy
I
mentality.
think initially, like I said, because the game, like other Spider-Mans, the other Spider-Man games that came out before
But
this
this
were all
game is not.
multi-plat.
But those games were published by other
Listen,
companies.
don't
this,
you dare
this,
yell
this,
at me, Dark.
this game is published by Sony
No, exactly.
Interactive.
Angry Otter.
Exactly, and I think people, when it came down to it, they everybody cooled down. They accepted the fact. I do want to shout out Ronami Sparks when it comes to this whole VR with Hellblade. He basically he came out and said, "Here's the thing: Microsoft would have let Ninja Theory put the VR on PlayStation. It's just that the PSVR isn't powerful enough." I know this because they are still letting We Happy Few release on PS4, and that is a great point right there. And what it is these are games that were made before the acquisition as well, which Microsoft doesn't really have a say as to what they do with those titles either. So when people are out there talking about, well, it's Microsoft, oh, it's Xbox, they're doing this, they won't let this happen, you guys don't really know what you're talking about because these are games that were released before the acquisition of the dev team.
They're still supporting Minecraft on PlayStation.
Yeah, that too. But Don, am I right on that? Because these games came out before the acquisition, they can pretty much do whatever they want with those games.
It
Right?
depends on what the what the agreement is on what they when they sign with Microsoft. But Microsoft has a track record of letting these things go through. So I will definitely go off of that more than anything else. If you know what I mean.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, I don't think anyone understands. People that are up in arms don't really understand even Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory placed a bet on PlayStation for their game before the PlayStation was an actual thing, was out in the public, before they seen any of the success. They were there near I think the announcement for the console, so they bet on them early on. So they're just one of those companies that just place their bets. What makes them feel like they're going to be able to create what they wanted to create, and they're not opposed to bringing stuff on other platforms if the option's definitely there.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do a VR experience. They're in a situation where kind of don't need the money from a VR experience.
Now they
yeah.
Good.
So like they don't have to do this release. They're doing it because they want to, and they want to release their product and what's going to shine on the best visual light. So there's a lot of PC gamers are in the same boat as the PlayStation VR gamers. They just don't have powerful enough graphic card or CPU or whatever it may be in their prospective builds, but would be enough for another VR game, but just not necessarily this game. So, I would say before you hop on a developer, understand they placed a bet on you guys a long time ago, and I don't think that hate is deserved in any sort of way, or even deserved towards Microsoft in regards to that. And
I gotta say honestly, I look at Ninja Theory in terms of a development team, kind of like in the same vein as CD Projekt Red. And I know CD Projekt Red, they're independent and all that stuff. They're not first party, but in terms of integrity going towards the gamer and kind of like the thought process towards the gamer, I put those two dev teams kind of like in the same boat. So
I can see the parallels there. I don't think that's an unfair comparison.
I think it's unfair to attack them like that just because you're.
It is. And even if, like, let's say if it was really malicious, who cares? Just don't buy their product. Like, if you really are that turned off from what they do, then don't buy them.
Because they're not under fucking Sony anymore. They're under Microsoft.
Exactly. So, and here's the thing: PlayStation VR is not powerful. It's not.
It's entry level hardware.
Yes, it is below the bare minimum entry level hardware that AMD recommends for PC.
Oh wow! Yeah,
Keep that in mind. It's based on. It was RX 480 or something like that. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head.
It's a step above the Gear.
It's a watered down version of the graphic card that normally they would recommend at a bare minimum for entry level VR for your PC. And that's not knocking on the platform. Like, enjoy your PlayStation Pro, but that's where it sits in relationship to virtual reality. Virtual reality is very demanding. You cut VR out of any hardware, you're able to do a lot more with that game with that perspective hardware, right? So, just VR is just, in a lot of ways, I kind of look at it as a waste of hardware power, to be honest with you. So I mean, it is what it is.
Hello snaps that she wants VR, so like
let her get it and let her get it out of her system. But
I want to check it out too, though. Like, I'm hoping for some type of underwater thing. I want to see that whole experience.
I mean, it's just that's the thing is VR is just a bunch of experiences, and I don't think that game is actually more suited for
that's
the
gonna
VR.
Be creepy in VR. I am sorry. Like you put on your headset with.
It's going to give you nightmares. It's going to give you nightmares. Like that, even just the opening scene where you hold that head that's in the bag. Oh, I don't want to see that in VR.
What's she doing? Look over there. Look there.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be hearing that once your headset's off. You'll be like, "Oh shit!" Like
that's an expensive VR experience. You have to get a padded room, like when you're playing and after you're done. Like it's just, I don't know. It's cool that they're making it, and they're trying to make the experience they want to make. And Sony placed their bet on where they're gonna ride their hardware and where it made sense for them. And it just doesn't make sense for this game. It just That's what it boils down to. If it was just an ordinary game that was really, really powerful and they had to water it down, I'm sure they can do it on the hardware, right? And they did do that. But I think people just need to relax. I mean, these sort of deals happen. People lose studios all the time. Microsoft lost. I forgot what studio that used to do Killer Instinct and is now working for Amazon. We never heard from them ever since. You know what I mean?
Galaxy.
Yeah, Iron Galaxy. They disappeared, right? Like no one even knows where they went, right? So I mean, these sort of things going to occur. Sony's going to acquire somebody else down the road, or some studio will be dissolved into something else, and it won't have access on to Xbox gamers. It just happens, man. I just don't see why you're upset.
I think Don is going on and on right now because he knows I'm going to K Mega next, and he's trying to make K Mega's time short here.
I'll K Mega block any day.
He is blocking Mr. Mega himself. Yo, K Mega, what do you think about the backlash going on? You know, with these kind of like PlayStation extremists going after Ninja Theory. Of course, you know Ninja Theory is now first party with Xbox. It sounds like there's a lot of hurt feelings out there, man, and they're just using this as kind of like the launch pad to say whatever they want to this dev team, man.
Foolish. When I posted something the other day in regards to some fanboy that said that Ninja Theory turned their back on Sony fans, I just laughed. Like, are you kidding me? Because, I mean, it's just like when you look at the difference, and I understand that there are some Xbox fanboys that are over the top and they do just as much silly things as others.
Oh, yeah.
But when the best point is when Street Fighter V was exclusive to PlayStation. Who did the Xbox brethren go to the most? Xbox. What the hell are you doing? Why is this happening? What's going on? It's you know what I'm saying? They're questioning Phil Spencer. They're questioning Aaron Greenberg, Sharon Loftus. They're questioning everybody else at Xbox for this blunder until Street Fighter V got launched. And then everybody's like, oh, okay, we get it now. And now Street Fighter V is where it's supposed to be after season 2. The story still sucks, but the game is top notch now. It's quality now.
It's that Sony game preview again, right there. Yeah.
Right, well, yeah, pretty much. But that's the difference, is that Xbox fans are so critical towards Xbox, and there are some that are not, and they'll just point the blame at everybody else. But this was just absolutely lunacy. I mean, just look, you got to look at the facts before you can actually just go and run at the mouth. The PlayStation VR, it is weak. That was one reason why, you know, they were trying to tout it for the PlayStation Pro, because they know that the games will perform better on the Pro than it would for the standard PlayStation. And when people started really actually saying that, they started backing off and talking about the whole power situation with this VR machine and trying to even compare it to the Oculus Rift and the Vive. Mm-hmm. Now, look, we also have to realize that Ninja Theory at the time are a small group, and they could only make that game to be a certain way, and they looked at it from where most of the people that buy these headsets are on the PC, not on the PlayStation. So they catered to those gamers first. And so, you know, they got bought out and things happen the way it is. This is just business. I don't see why anybody's complaining. Nobody could complain at Capcom for what they did, because Sony took care of business and got games like Guilty Gear. They got games like Street Fighter. They got EX Layer, which is a game that I wished it would come to Xbox. But regardless, they're going to the PlayStation first because the PlayStation has sold more consoles. I get that. Same with Hellblade. They went there because they had partners with them because of Heavenly Sword.
No, well, I don't know if that was the reason. I mean, here's the thing: they placed bets before the PlayStation 4 came out. That means they placed bets before the Pro came out, and they placed bets before the VR came out.
But they had dealings with them, Don. That's what I'm saying. They've already had a relationship with them with Heavenly Sword, and it's supposed to be Hellblade. Hold on, wait. But Heavenly Sword is supposed to be kind of like a tie-in with.
No, it's not.
Well, that's what the rumors were. I don't know if
that's what the rumors are, but that's what the developer said. No, it's not. Okay. So what I'm saying is they placed all those bets before those hardware even existed. So they developed the game that they wanted to develop and made it work. So if the performance profile of PlayStation 4 Pro with a VR system doesn't fit for their game, it doesn't fit for their game. Like Sony bet on the wrong thing. This is something you need to ask Sony.
Right. That's the whole point that I'm making. It's like, look, Xbox fans, they question Xbox all the time about what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Turn your back away from what Xbox and what Xbox fans are doing, and go ask Sony about what they're doing. If you got a problem with why they don't have backwards compatibility, or if they don't have a service like Game Pass, that's to go to Sony. That's not to go and attack an Xbox fan for going and supporting that. You know, it to me, it's just completely, it's asinine for you to even blame Xbox for over here doing something that I think that a lot of Xbox fans would think of as a smart deal. Like, I mean, this company is very talented, and they're going to be more talented.
Chaos too, man. As soon as I saw them buy that, that's what I want. I want Kung Fu Chaos too. And guys, at the end of the day, I don't really know why these PlayStation extremists are complaining, because when it came to Play Anywhere and Xbox games going to PC, so many of these people were like, well, I'll just play this game in 4K and stuff like that on my PC. So obviously they have towers that are powerful enough to play Hellblade in VR. But let's move on, guys. I want to move on to a subject that the Don kind of brought back into the DM. We were talking about doing it for episode 99. And Digital Foundry came out, and they started talking about next generation. And one of the interesting things that they were talking about was kind of like resolution when it comes to next generation versus overall like graphical fidelity and stuff. So Don, I'm kind of like handing over, the reins to you. What were they talking about in this video, and what was interesting to you that you really wanted to share it, with everybody who watches the show and the panel, man?
Well, first off, I don't really want to share anything from Digital Foundry, but it is a topic that we've talked about for quite a while. So
yeah,
I mean,
seems like they're falling in line with what we were saying, right?
Yeah. So it's nice to see. Well, the validation is always nice when you've said something for a really long time, and then people fall in line what's really going on there. The talk is 4K the best use of power? To kind of sum it up, and they were talking about techniques that Sony has used on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and alluding that maybe we should be focusing on other things to get better visuals.
I mean, like Quantum Break did right off the bat with checkerboarding.
Exactly, and that's what we're looping back to, right? So, keep in mind, these are the guys that criticize heavily anytime when something had a small blade of grass missing on one version of a game or another, or talks about native resolution, or when a company like Remedy comes with and wins awards by the way for their temporal reproduction, which is different than some of the techniques that Sony is using. They're very much criticizing these two platforms, and then riding the hype train that people would roll with when once they give a win to one platform or another. And we all know what those platforms were, and now they don't really talk about it a whole lot. Now that the power crown is switched, you kind of see their true intentions. It was never about what was really better in their perspective. It was just more or less, aiding really the kind of the console war and
getting the clicks, basically.
It's getting clicks, right? Getting the attention, getting the clicks, and
well, hold on. Speaking of clicks, why don't everybody out there just hit that thumbs up button for us? We've been going for over an hour now, and it would be really awesome to see, if you could share this out on social media and get even more people in checking out the show. But yeah, go ahead, Don.
Well, and then the thing is, like, they're playing you guys, right? Like, you're playing into their hands when they're doing all that stuff, and that's not fair. And this is one of my biggest gripes about these guys is they're playing mind games with the most passionate gaming audience that's out there. And instead of just looking at graphics as a whole, they're just taking a lot of things out of context. So, higher resolution doesn't mean better graphics. Is it part of it? Yes, it is. It's always been part of it, but it's just a clarity thing, right? And it leads to maybe better looks along anti-aliasing. But there are other things that power can go to as graphics. That's something we've all said on this panel before. And going forward, I still stand by it behind that. Developer has to make the hard decisions, what makes sense for the power profiles that they're developing for, to make their game look the best. And so I'm never going to criticize the developer for choosing a lower resolution on a particular box, because if they put efforts in other places, I'm not going to criticize them for it. So that's just kind of where I'm kind of going with that. And I don't know if you guys seen the article or if anyone's watched the video. So
I saw. I've actually watched the video a couple times. I got to ask you, Don, when it comes to this, why do you think Digital Foundry put this out now? Do you think that they're kind of gearing up for next gen in terms of like trying to make themselves look a little more, I don't know, foundational or something? Why do you think they put this out now when, just like you said, throughout this entire generation, if one game was like 80p's more than the other, they would give it to that platform and stuff. Why would they put this out now, do you think?
I think it's they're trying to find their identity, right? Like they've seen a lot of success on trashing on one platform or another. Now that it's really hard for them to do that golden ticket's been taken away from Microsoft and the Xbox One X, and then the decisions that Sony has done. I think they're just struggling to get those clicks. They're not getting the clicks they once were. Just so you guys know, they're not as relevant as they once were. People don't bring them up. I mean, I think the Xbox fan base is not really interested in that type of fight. You know what I mean? They just want to have a good experience and enjoy themselves and kind of be left alone. You know what I mean? They're not.
Can definitely see that once the power, like that power quote unquote advantage got put on the other platform, you don't have like the volume of like crazed gamers that are looking for that one advantage to keep yelling out on social media to the people who have the other platform either.
There's always exceptions out there, right? But
I'm talking about that volume of people.
Yeah, like they weren't interested in rubbing it in people's face. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Yeah. That's like, I don't think that was the interest. They just wanted to have a good experience. And I think there's another group that was looking for validation, and so therefore they're trying to harp on another platform, which, and I think there's some emotional charge there too as well, just because the way Xbox launched. But, this is one of those things like, the question is Digital Foundry even relevant? Have they ever been relevant to you guys? Like, to me, the way I look at it is, if the consumer can't see these differences when they walk by a display, then how does it justify your purchase? Why do you need someone else to tell you that? The way I look at it is, if a developer has utilized the hardware to the best ability, all hardware, doesn't matter what the platform is or what the performance profile it is, and you walk by and you can see the difference, that's what justifies your money. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I always kind of look at it. And I don't think it has to go to the technical stuff. That's the stuff I have to worry about. That's not something the consumer should ever have to worry about.
Now, Don, just one more question before I go to the rest of the panel. When it comes to this video, I just want to see if you can clear it up, because we're talking next generation games. And of course, next generation gamers are expecting, in terms of resolution, they're expecting a native 4K. A lot of people are saying 60 frames per second or bust. What is Digital Foundry really trying to say here when it comes to next generation? Are they trying to say to expect more of the checkerboarding with like an increase in graphical fidelity, like over resolution? Is that what they're trying to say to look forward to next gen?
I think I don't think they're trying to address next gen. I think they're trying to address what we currently have in our homes right now. Is the way I kind of looked at it, and possibly they are setting themselves up for the future. But even I have a lot of inside sources and people I know and stuff like that, we don't really know what the final performance hardware is going to be. We have some good assumptions, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So I think they probably have similar feedback from developers as well, and I would just imagine that they're just kind of setting themselves up to be just relevant long term is what it really boils down to.
All right, I got you. Mega. First off, I gotta know. It's been a couple weeks, but I know we did put the video, in the DM. You have Digital Foundry. All of a sudden, it's not about overall resolution, and if you want to see that kind of like graphic leap going into next gen, they're trying to tell people, you might want to accept that checkerboarding and stuff to see like that true kind of like graphic leap going into the new hardware. I believe, Don, that was one of the things that they were really trying to say there.
Yeah, but they don't even know what the graphics leap is going to be. Like they don't even understand that. So keep that in mind too.
All right, no doubt. And when it comes down to Digital Foundry, we can only kind of like assume what they were thinking with coming out with these videos. But Mega, how does this make you feel? Like the people that were talking about overall resolution, 1080p, giving games a higher, like a higher value on the PS4 because they were 1080p over 900 and stuff. Now saying that overall resolution doesn't mean that much moving into the future, man. How does that make you feel, dude?
Well, I haven't watched anything from Digital Foundry since the reveal of the Xbox One X. That's how long it's been. When you showed when you posted what you put, I didn't watch it. I don't watch it. I never took these guys totally serious because they fed into the console war and they thought that was going to be their meal ticket for this whole generation going into the next. Now they're trying to do a quick shift because now the whole, like Don said, the whole power discussion is null and void. The whole talk about Xbox got no games, that's beginning to be a stupid argument now because Xbox has shown that they are committed to getting games. They got 5 studios, going to get more studios included, so the games will come. Mm-hmm. It's all into this whole thing of where what the media has been trying to do is feast and feast off of what Xbox has been trying to do this whole generation, and it's worked for the most part. But now they see that it's the behemoth is here, and now all this shit talking is dead. So now they're trying to shift. You see people at IGN, they're leaving. It is just what Don has been saying this for a long time, is that these people are going to pretty much become non-existent. And because they have played their cards on wanting to feed onto this console war, and Digital Foundry is no different than that. And a lot of Xbox gamers are not going to take them relevant. It doesn't matter if they kiss our ass or if they don't. We'll just go to other YouTubers and get the truth ourselves. And it's really sad and unfortunate because these guys seem highly intelligent on some aspects, mm-hmm. but trying to use resolution and all of that jazz, we've been saying this for a long time, and I'm not even a tech guy like that. That resolution isn't what it's all cracked up to be. It's all about the gaming experience and how good these games are. So when you talk bad about Sea of Thieves and that looks like a cartoon, let's not forget the game of the year that won last year looked like more like Sea of Thieves than it looked more like Horizon Zero Dawn. Zelda looked more like Sea of Thieves. So what is that telling you? I mean, it's all about the entertainment of the game, more so than everybody's trying to pick and choose little pot spots to say, well, Sony won this, Sony won that. That's my thoughts on it. Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them, yeah. Predator, I got to ask you what you think about this. Every once in a while, Digital Foundry comes back up into our topics. I know you guys know how I feel about them, but this was really interesting because, like I said, for the people that were kind of like in front of that ship talking resolution and giving the value to the game that had that higher overall resolution, now they're really kind of like backtracking on that. And it's like, well, checkerboard is doing really good, and if you really want to see like that boost in graphics when it comes to the textures and lighting and stuff like that, you might want to accept like the checkerboarding and all the different techniques that these dev teams have come up with. How does that make you feel, Brad?
I don't I mean, man, I don't even know where to start with this. So, like, it's just them moving the goalpost, basically. The X's, and I hate to think that the
They didn't
digital
expect
foundries.
that X, man. Beginning of this generation, they did not expect that X to drop like this gen.
I think they were kind of hoping. I don't really want to sit here and point the finger at them and say they're just biased, 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 because that would be the typical thing most people would do. But like in the beginning of the generation, it was all about the resolution and how things look, and they just kind of they never talked about the gameplay, like how fun the game was and that kind of stuff like that. So now that Microsoft has the power narrative and their advantage, it's coming up with something else. The kind of backtracking. Even when they were doing their preview of the X, when they let Digital Foundry do that video, they were really hesitant to kind of come out and just say, you know, Xbox is winning in this and that and this and that. When it came to the gameplay comparisons, they would always kind of put like a but in there. Like it seemed like they just would never really just kind of say this is a clear winner. They started doing it like the last couple of games, multiplats that came out, but in the very beginning, they were really hesitant to do that. And I don't know if something happened with their views or something like that. Like I think people are kind of like some people are saying in chat now, like there's no sense in watching Digital Foundry because Xbox is always going to win. When they do the comparison. So maybe their clicks kind of started dropping a little bit and they had to change up their stance or something. I don't want to put a tinfoil hat on, but I mean that's what it looks like.
Their clicks have dropped. So
Okay.
factually, they're not getting nearly as much traffic as they once were. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, so when people when you see a comparison video, and that's another thing they stopped doing too. They really stopped doing those comparison videos like as fast as they used to. Because like if a game dropped Tuesday, like No Man's Sky came out right Tuesday, usually they'd have that video out on Tuesday night.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like Tuesday
Good
afternoon,
point.
they had that PS4 Pro versus PC versus Xbox One X video as soon as it dropped. And now it's kind of like they only do the Xbox One versus Xbox One X comparison. And then they'll do a PS4 Pro versus a PS4 comparison. And then it might, if it's a really, really big game, they might do a mesh comparison with PC. But like it doesn't happen like it used to. They used to do all of them. And then they kind of stopped and backtracked a little bit off that because, like some people like say in the chat, we already know who the clear winner is on the consoles. It's just a comparison between the Xbox One X and PC and what the differences is. And the PC is always going to win out because they're using high end shit to compare them against. But like, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting when this next, wave of consoles come out and see what the next goalpost is going to be when we start discussing the terms of resolution and
they're gonna
fidelity and stuff like that.
dude, what they're gonna do is they're gonna be all over that Scarlet Cloud, that smaller box, trying to find any latency or anything like that when it comes to game streaming. I can see that already.
So they're going to jiggle the Ethernet cord that plugs into it.
Yeah, exactly.
As they're testing it.
They're gonna try to find holes within that whole system because it's something brand new. I can just see that coming already, and hopefully we'll have time to talk about the Scarlet Cloud device. I do want to hear from Optimus though what he thinks about this. I know Optimus is a huge Digital Foundry fan, so
That's funny, man. It's funny because I never heard of Digital Foundry until I got into this community of podcasting. So, I didn't even know who they were. Digital Foundry has always been part of that like technical side
yeah.
of gaming, and it's like we don't really need that, like sometimes I'll watch it just to see, like I'll just be like just to see what kind of crap video that they have out there, and then all of a sudden it's always like the resolution or is it really true 4K or and it's always like why, like I don't understand it.
I mean, in a sense, you're right. They are on the tech side of things, and it's cool to hear the tech side of game development and how this game is running and everything like that. I think a lot of that was brought over from the PC side of things. I think Digital Foundry, they started off in the PC space, and then they kind of spread out into console. But at the end of the day, if you're a tech guy, say a game like Quantum Break that came out that was using a form of checkerboarding, like you wouldn't scratch your head and be all clueless as to what's going on and be like, well, it's registering at 1080p, but it looks 720, and I don't know what's going on here. And
Here's
creating
the
that
thing.
narrative, man.
With checkerboarding, most people, most of the majority of the society of human beings cannot even tell the difference between checkerboard rendered and 4K. They just can't. There's just no possible way of you ever really seeing a difference between those two.
My wife can see that, and she doesn't play games.
Well, that's she's one of them then.
Well, no, it's that one is a little. I would say 50-50. I would say there's some truth to that. As far as like the studies I've seen behind the scenes, but the problem is, it's what the native resolution they decide to checkerboard up to, and then they upscale it again. So it's like goes through like these multiple processes, and it kind of just gives this weird softness to it and weird artifacts to it. So it depends on the checkerboard technique of what people will notice. Less of a gap you have to make up to that end.
Right.
So let's say like it's 1800p to. So you're trying to get the you're not 4K. You're trying to get to 4K, but you're not like 1440 upscaled to just below 4K and then upscaled again, because checkerboarding is an upscaling. So
Yeah.
So that I would say is I would say that's noticeable, but I would say when you're right on the edge, then that's something for the developer to make those decisions if it's noticeable to the majority of the people out there. And then what they'll do is they'll actually have people brought in, sign NDAs, and they see if they can see it or not. So there is testing, that what they call double blind testing within the industry, that happens quite a bit to decide on the final output of these games and how they're going to be presented to you.
Okay, well, I still stand by the notion of the majority of people can't see.
Stick
the
to your
difference.
guns, Stark. Stick to your guns, man.
For the simple fact that like as most of you guys know, I've been in film for a while now. A lot of like
Dude,
people don't understand
nude photography
that.
is not film, and I'm just letting you know that right now.
People don't understand that like digital is not full 4K.
No, it's not. You're right.
Because a lot of filmmakers do digital filmmaking because it's cheaper and it costs, the cost of everything is just way more,
Easier to edit.
Yeah, easier to edit, better to just be able to like put that money towards something else. But with regular film, like film reel, that is, I think, I think that's like 8K or something like that.
It's much higher. So
much higher, yeah.
Exactly. So that's the weird thing is like the film industry is a little bit split on that. If you look at the television industry, they're split on it. They didn't do a 1440p televisions. That never happened. They went from 1080p to 4K. So they know that's the discernible difference where most people are going to notice it. So it's about casting that bigger net. And then most games, well, at least on the X, are showing, you're seeing native true 4K with that. And for a lot of people, that's the first time they've ever seen it. You know what I mean?
And
they haven't seen it in film and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people still don't believe that it's true 4K, and it's like they're like it's 2160, and I'm like, what do you think 4K
is? It's 2160.
What do you think 4K?
That's it.
I'm like, what do you think 4K is? Like it's not freaking like 4,000 pixels, on a screen. It's not. That's not how 4K works. Like that's not how film works. Like it's just not how resolution is the way it is. And it's just like you guys are just stop.
Just stop.
Go online and learn something about it, like before you talk about it.
Oh my goodness. Talking about like learning something. Maybe with this next topic, Sony can learn something because EA has come out and expressed a real interest in crossplay, and I want to get to this topic, and hopefully we get to the Scarlet Cloud as well. If not, we can leave that off for another time. But EA basically coming out and saying that when it comes to crossplay, they are interested in that in their titles that have more have a wider range of gamers, and they're really looking in to invest in crossplay, and we know that Sony does not play well when it comes to consoles and crossplay and cross progression. So, I want to hit Predator up on this. What do you think about EA coming out here and saying this? Are they trying to get all the console companies kind of involved because EA is a bigger publisher? They got bigger titles like Battlefield and stuff like that they could really say, hey, we want to do crossplay. So if you want this on your system, this is what needs to be done. Do you think they're putting it out there to kind of force that whole crossplay thing to become a norm in the industry? And how do you think like Sony is going to react to this, man?
This has really been like talked about. This is the second article I've seen on this with crossplay, especially with them coming out with their Origins Access. Some of their games are coming out. Some of the traditional games like FIFA and Madden are coming out on PC this year. So their Origins Access launches, I think, next week, if I'm not mistaken, on PC. And I'm on the fence, to be honest with you, whether I should get that and just play my games on PC, like Anthem, or get it on my X, because I have Origin on my X, whatever it's called. Yeah, Access on my X. So like, for me as a consumer, this is great if they do this, because I can just buy my shit and I can cross progression my shit and like play with other people. If I pick it on my PC, I can play with all my Xbox fans and friends. But they're pushing this, man. And if you listen to their earnings call, I was listening to it last night, and like near the end, they discussed this a little bit at the end, and they definitely said it's something they're looking into. I don't know if they're trying to force Sony's hand on this. This could be one of those things where like it becomes like a marketing rights deal, which they typically kind of side with Microsoft with. I think they have a good relationship with Microsoft. So let's say it comes down to that, and that's the next trade war between the consoles. Like, which company is going to side with what other console? I don't want it to go that way. I'd rather just be open for everybody. If you have a PlayStation, you have an Xbox, you have a Switch, whatever console you decide to play on. If EA decides to make that game crossplay, I really, as a gamer, I just want it to be available for everybody. But I know someone's gonna fuck this up and be stubborn, and it's not gonna fucking happen. Even if it's something as simple as cross progression, especially like with these subscriptions type things. Like, I don't want to buy fucking 8 subscriptions to play a game on everything I own. If I own everything, like if I get EA Access or I buy Anthem, I'll use that as an example. So I buy Anthem on my PC and I have it on my Xbox. I've already bought the fucking game twice, right? Why make it hard for me to fucking move my character over from one to the other? I mean, like, could you imagine going and playing Destiny 2 on your PS4? And just move your character over. I mean, that'd be great, because these grinding games like this, you really don't have to do that shit all the fuck over again.
No,
like building
especially with games like Destiny, you don't want to.
Yeah,
I've had so many people tell me that they can't keep up. Like they're multi-console owners. They play Destiny 2, but they can't keep up with building 6 characters on a week-to-week basis.
Grinding every fucking I can't do it. And I loved the Division when it first came out. And when I got my graphics card, the Division came with it. And I'm like, I'm not doing this shit again on PC. There's no fucking way. Like, so, I mean, going forward, I know we all kind of have our, likes and dislikes and stuff like that. But for the consumer, take the tinfoil hats off for a minute. As a consumer of a video game console or system or game, whatever it is you want to buy, this is a good thing for all of us. I think it's something that we should all be asking for, despite what your allegiance is like, what your allegiance is with. Whatever console your allegiance is with, just push this. And I hope EA actually does this, and I hope Sony jumps on, because I think Xbox is down. I think the issue is going to be PlayStation, and And I don't want it to be one of those situations where because PlayStation is the market leader, as far as console sales go and what's out there, that they force the market to not move forward because they refuse to side with what EA may or may not do.
Um, Yo, Bob Beast in the chat says no one wants to crossplay with PC gamers, and see that to me is another reason why I'm hoping that Sony kind of thinks about their stance and changes it, because I would really be down with like cross console gaming and having the option to add in the PC gamers or keep them out of my experience. And that's just for the fact that when it comes to PC, there's a lot of ways people cheat. There's the whole keyboard and mouse situation.
Well, there's a fix for that, and I think they do it in Fortnite. I remember listening to a YouTube video a couple of days ago, and I forget the guy's name, but he basically said that Fortnite, I think, is set up in tiers. Like tier 1 is basically like the phone mobile players, tier 2 is like the console guys, and tier 3 is like the PC guys. Now, if you're tier 1, you can opt in to play with anybody. But if you're tier 3, you can't go down to tier 2 and play with the console and the Switch guys. You can only play with tier 3 players. You know, there's a way to do this.
Well, there's a lot of ways to do it. Like you can change the hitboxes for PC players so they have a smaller hitbox because of the player input's different. Mm-hmm. You can tether your player input to certain frame rates if your game's dependent on that. There's a lot of things that you can do that PC gamers don't really have control over, if that makes any sort of sense from the nuts and bolts of the development side of things. And also, honestly, smart matchmaking is already here. Matchmaking almost takes care of the problem in a lot of ways. You know, if it's implemented correctly, you know, because let's say PC gamers are naturally better at aiming because of keyboard and mouse. That's the argument, right?
Hey, yo, Jazzy Noop in the chat is like, the other thing to do is force PC gamers to use a controller.
And that's possible if you want to do crossplay. I mean, that's what the game is. I mean, that's a good solution as well.
That's brilliant, in my opinion.
But that's for the developer to figure out what works for their game, right? So but it's up to the developers to also make a balanced game. I truly believe the crossplay thing is totally possible. As a matter of fact, some of my best experiences have been on crossplay. With my nephews, random people in the community. K-Mango was there when we did the Megalodon with Free Jack and his daughter, and he was totally playing on his Xbox. His daughter's playing on his Surface, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a co-op experience. You know, we played with these random people. We had a blast. Everyone we played to go fight the Megalodon, half of those people were on keyboards because they had the clicking. That's the only thing that bugs me. You have all the clicking going on. We had Mega, you were there. We had a blast playing crossplay with that on Sea of Thieves, right?
Yeah. Oh no, it was great. Matter of fact, I have that recorded. I was going to use that as gameplay this week, but
that didn't happen.
Yeah. What? No, what's a gameplay? I don't know what you talk about.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, but no, Don is absolutely right. It was a blast, and the only thing that was the problem was when we were all taking a picture and some guy was sniping us from the boat. But you know what I'm saying? But then
that could have been somebody from a controller or what? It went rogue pretty quick.
It wasn't. Yeah, that was just some random, just wasn't a troll. So I started sniping people on the other boat. Like, fuck it, I'll get them back. But there was nobody that seemed like they had an advantage. Everybody just played. We worked together in unison, and it was great. I loved it. It was so fun.
I'm trying to understand. Mad Jack in the chat is trying to say crossplay is just fake outrage. I don't see it as being.
I think it's out of context outrage. I think there's valid points that people make about PC gamers that do exist. You can't pretend they don't, right? Like I don't think that's fair. They do exist out there, but doesn't mean
some bad cheaters out there.
But doesn't mean we can't get past that. Does that make sense? Like people talk about all the issues with Sea of Thieves, and it's because of PC players. We don't know it's because of PC players. We have no idea what's causing those issues. I mean, hell, I broke the game and I was playing on my Xbox, right? Like,
that's what we need more gameplay of. Flying ships, like
it was flying ships. We had to go through a whole entire island. and it was all because of the ping, right? That screws it up on that game. And so, anyone on any platform could have screwed that up the way we did. It doesn't matter if you're on a PC or on an Xbox. And believe it or not, if you mess with the ping, it also makes it really hard to have hit detection when someone shoots cannonballs at you. So that whole can't sink a ship thing, it's not limited to PC. It's limited to consoles. That's the way the game was built. So it's one of those things but PC gamers always get the blame because there's known cheaters on the platform, right? So.
And that's what you get from such an open platform as well, because there are people out there that will create software. There are companies out there that will create software in which the main goal is to cheat. That is an open platform, PC open platform. That's what you're going to get from that.
I think all you can do is just be really strict and identify cheaters. That's the only thing you can do. If you look at, and I'm just keep talking about Sea of Thieves because it's a perfect example of everything.
Well, there was a lot of when that
there was cheaters. There were there was cheaters. They identified, and weren't identified in the ways that people think within our small community that we talk to. They got permanently banned. You're done. And not hey, I got myself a new PC.
So they can't see the Kraken evolve then with every kind of big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend that you don't talk about the Kraken. But
talk about the Megalodon.
Yeah, we'll move on to things named after me. But anyways,
I knew that's where I was going.
K Mega and Don. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, big heads.
Yeah,
big heads.
Mega Don. Thank you, Rare.
It's our
listening to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it just. Crossplay, it's totally possible. I don't think we should be discouraged, but I think we should, if there is cheating, we should identify it, and I think we should present that to the developers, and it's up to them to figure it out, make sure it doesn't ruin the gameplay long term. Honestly, it'd be nice if it just wasn't a problem in the first place, but.
I'm glad when it comes to crossplay. I'm glad that they're doing it with titles like Sea of Thieves and stuff like that, because when the big hitters come around, the established competitive multiplayer, they'll have a better idea of where they're going to go, where they're going to put the parameters and the borders and stuff like that, because you guys know me, I'm a huge Halo fan, and I am watching this very cautiously in terms of Halo with crossplay, because I think we can pretty much guarantee the next Halo is going to go to PC. All right, and
they've already confirmed it.
Yeah,
and I'm just watching it because I love playing, console, and I don't want to sit there and think about aimbots and stuff like that on such an open platform.
So my question is, if they find a way to balance it, and if things go wrong for you, are you automatically going to assume they're PC players and then blame them for losing?
It's got to be something that happens over a period of time, and I want to see what they're going to do, because I feel like they're going to need to explain, if they're doing crossplay with PC and Xbox, and I believe it's going to be the new Xbox as well, explain exactly what you're doing in terms of matchmaking and how this system is going to be put into the game.
I think that brings up a good point, because we need to have these open conversations so people can have an understanding and kind of dissect what developers are doing to make these things more balanced, right? Yeah. Because the problem is people are not going in with an open mind, and when things go wrong and it has crossplay, they automatically assume it's because PC players get the blame, right? They basically, because they have some cheaters that ruin it for everybody.
PC gamers for me getting sick, this past week and stuff like that. It's something we do, Yeah,
viruses from your computer cannot transfer to a human. Right? So.
Well, I do want to hear from the rest of the panel when it comes to crossplay. So, what's up, Dark? What do you think about EA coming out and saying that they are ready to invest in crossplay? You think about EA. Of course, there was people in the chat that were talking about Madden. I think that would be awesome, and that is a game that people have kind of put in the casual gamer category. So that would be a huge player base all playing that game together if they do that with Madden. But of course, Battlefield and stuff like that. Do you think EA is trying to kind of like push it as the norm, and they're ready to go all in? What do you think, man?
From a perspective of a person who plays more single player experiences than anything else, um, I have no interest in crossplay, but I understand for the multiplayer aspect of games, you definitely do need it. Because there are some games out there that do run out of, people to play with. Um, and I think if EA does come to the conclusion of actually doing crossplay for their games, fantastic. For people who play like Madden or Battlefield or any of the other EA titles that have multiplayer with them. I think you know coming from my perspective, as it's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, but it's nothing that's gonna really affect me. Um, but more power to EA to do that, and hopefully Sony does come around and does crossplay. I mean, will they? I don't really know if they'll do it this generation. I'm leaning more towards next generation that they'll probably do that. It just depends.
Hmm. Next generation, it's going to be interesting because if you look at Sony as a corporation, you look at their history, right? When it comes to industries kind of like evolving and going from like CD to MP3 and digital songs and stuff like that, and the movie industry and how that has changed in terms of movie development and stuff, I don't see Sony evolving with the industry to stay up there and relevant. So I am concerned when it comes to PlayStation. I'm not one of those people that feel like the gaming industry would be better off without PlayStation. So to see the industry moving in such a way and to see Sony kind of like digging their heels in the sand and saying, nope, we're not moving. We got a dinosaur mentality, and that's where it's
They
staying.
have come out and said that they're looking at ways to allow crossplay. So I mean they're not totally saying, hey, we're never going to do it. I think
They've
they'll
also been
find
looking
a
at
way.
ways for you to change your PSN name too.
But
Like
also I think that's a different beast,
that
man.
should be
That's a
easier,
whole
in my
different thing. But
opinion.
you can't compare those two together because crossplay has been kind of relatively new, and this whole PSN change your name has been going on since PS3 era. Like the you can't compare those two. This is
You
really
can
fresh.
compare them in terms of ideology and a mentality
I
when it
I
comes to
mean
a
I
business.
I guess, but at the same time, I think
You can change
PlayStation
your name on
has
Facebook, man. You can. There's no reason you can't do it on PlayStation Network. They just don't want to
no,
do it.
yeah, they just don't want to do that. They just don't want to do that. But I think as they're seeing more and more of these games getting that crossplay treatment, I think they're definitely gonna have to do it. I mean, they're gonna have to suck it up and do it. Mm, so what if they you know if they're gonna change it though. They're gonna change it to have it be more in their favor though. With like if you get a loot box, you can't use those items in another console or something like that. They'll do something along those lines.
All right. Did everybody get a chance to share their opinion on this? Like we've kind of gone back and forth.
No.
All right. Well, we'll skip K. No, I'm just playing. Yo, yeah,
Woo!
dude, you were late,
Lord have
man. I have
mercy.
to try to. I have to try to get something in somewhere. But
Oh
no,
man, we had enough when Don cut me off and only let me have a little segment
you
of the
know what?
last topic. You know
I'll,
what I
I'll
mean?
I'll give you that one, man. That
Oh,
is
yeah,
true. So what do you
Don
think
did
about
his.
this?
What do you say? Is my
Oh
turn
no,
again?
no shit, no. It's
Well,
my turn.
well,
Calm
Go
down.
for it,
Tanaka,
Megan. I don't give a shit.
I know you wanted to talk about this on GRG yesterday, and
Yeah.
coming from somebody else who produces a podcast, I know like things happen and you don't get a chance to do all the topics and stuff. So what do you think about this EA deal? Do you think this is something? I feel like this is that next step when it comes to crossplay, cross progression. You have an established publisher coming out and saying that they want to do this with the more of their like heavy hitter titles. So where do you think this is going to go with it? Like with EA and the gaming industry?
Yeah, with GRG, you got people like 108 Dragons, my boy, that wants to talk and overtalk everybody else, and then 100 want to go left and talk about something else.
I don't know anything about that here on Next, by the way.
Yeah, of course not. Anyway, but no, it's for me. I was really stoked once I seen it because it's one of my favorite shooters this generation in Battlefield, and so to see that EA is really serious about doing this, it means two things. That what's already been said is that look, this is the future. This is where these publishers and these guys want to go with these games because it gives one good positive to them. It gives longevity to these games. That is probably more important than them to probably selling maybe an extra one or two copies because for the most part people are only going to buy one copy for their preferred platform. So if you have that person just to go ahead and say, look, I don't have to buy a PC version or an Xbox version or a PlayStation version or even a Switch version if it comes to that I could just buy one, and then that means that they can buy all the DLC that they want. And then they can bring, which is probably the most important for the gamer, is that they can bring their assets over to any other platform, and they can just play. Like Madden would be huge for that. NBA Live would be huge for that. Even NBA 2K, FIFA. I mean, it makes so much sense because gamers will continue to keep playing, and even when you have one section of gamers that don't want to play that game anymore, you still have plenty other gamers out there that want to continue to keep playing that game. So it is so much of a positive that I mean I'm so stoked. I hope that they do that. If they would implement that into Battlefield 5 or V, it would be amazing. I mean that's exactly what all us gamers has been wanting for a long time. It gives longevity to fighters. It gives longevity to racers. It just, and it doesn't alleviate from people buying newer games because once the new iteration comes, they'll still buy those games. It just means that they will be more focused on those titles that they love the most, and they'll continue to spend extra money on this so they can always bring those DLCs and season passes and things like that. I think single player games, they got their own space, but for multiplayer, that is the future, in my opinion.
I got you. And when it comes down to it, I don't think we're going to be talking about like getting one game and then you can play it on different platforms. You're going to have to buy the game on, PlayStation as well as Xbox if you want to go back and forth between that or whatnot. I do agree with Mega. I do think when it comes to multiplayer that this is the future. You got so many companies, so many publishers, dev teams like looking into this, kind of putting it in the infrastructure of games that they're developing and just waiting for that ability to turn on the Switch. I mean, you look at Fortnite, they did hit that Switch for a second and then they had to shut it back down. So
I believe it was called an oops.
yeah, kind of deliberate oops, but an oops nonetheless.
Oops is an oops.
But it's going to be interesting to see in the future. Like I said, when it comes to crossplay between PC and console, I am watching that really closely. I know Mikey Barra basically came out and said it's up to the devs to decide how they were going to put matchmaking into the game and how they were going to make sure it's a balanced ecosystem when it comes to multiplayer games between Xbox and doing crossplay. But it's really interesting, and we didn't get to the Scarlet Cloud, but with everything swirling around, man, this is a huge kind of like a generation when it comes to innovation, when it comes to game development and options and how to play on multiplayer and stuff, and just moving into this next generation. It just seems that the scope is just going to keep getting bigger, and we are truly in a game industry that is changing. It's evolving. We're getting more features and stuff like that. So in my opinion, it's a great time to be a gamer. But we are going on 9:15 right now, and I don't want to hear Dark Optimus tell me that we go 2.5, 3 hours. So we are gonna wind down episode number 99.5. Yes, we did it. We added a decimal. It was a great show. Huge shout out to the chat. You guys were on fire, mixing it up, talking about the topics and everything like that. I love seeing that in the chat. So huge shout out to the chat who came and checked out the show live. And of course, a huge shout out to everybody who checks out the show afterwards. But like a 40-year-old with a comb over, we gotta get those plugs in. And I am gonna start with the savior of the world, that angry otter himself, Mr. Dark Optimus. Why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you, what you're up to throughout the week? Man, you know the deal.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Dark Optimus. You guys can follow me on Xbox Live at the same name. You can also check me out every Thursday on TSGP. That is the Saltiest Gaming Podcast at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And you guys can always find me here on the next podcast, chalking it up with you guys.
Nice, brother. Predator, I know you show up at just about every... We almost
a little late there, Mega.
I thought we were going to make
late.
it show here.
You wasn't going to get away.
Yeah,
It was a little late, though.
I thought we almost went one show without that. I was like, I was thinking to myself, it's winding down.
Wasn't happening.
There
Wasn't
hasn't
happening.
We can just get rid of Megan. We never have to hear that anymore.
there was no otter rant. But
You get rid of me, the show ratings will fall to a plummet if they got to listen to y'all's boring answers.
Hey, listen
Oh,
here.
wow.
The angry otter will stay, even if Mega leaves. I have the means.
oh no,
Yeah, he does have that, so.
Predator.
I have it too, actually.
Oh no, I don't even know what that is. Like, is that really an otter or a
That
goose
is an otter.
dying?
Don gave this to me, so why y'all talking about me?
That's an otter eating food.
Okay. There you go.
Wow. Pred, I think they do this to you on purpose, man. They always cut you off with the angry otter noises. I don't
how to
know.
top that outro, man. I'll just have to just play the game for me.
Pred, why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you and anything you are up to for the week, sir?
Predator_H2OS on Xbox, on PlayStation, on YouTube, on Twitter. That's it, man. See you guys next week. 100th show. Make sure y'all tune in. I'm sure Xbox will have a nice little graphic available. Make sure y'all check that out. Might be some information there that y'all might want to see. So
a little 100 in the left corner, like 1/8 the size, maybe.
Make sure y'all tune in next week and keep an eye out on Twitter.
You have 100 in the corner?
Oh wow! Somebody put 100 in the corner.
Hey man,
Yeah, right.
hey man.
Yeah. Why
Right,
am I in
Nate,
the corner,
man.
man? Yeah. All right. Well, Don, why don't since you're talking about you're gonna throw me out, on the spot right there. Why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you? And I don't know what's going on with your YouTube channel, man.
Nothing's going on with that right now, but but it does exist if you want to subscribe.
It's there. It's there.
Yes. But the best way to follow what I'm doing, if I do decide to do something on the channel or I'm doing something on someone else's channel, follow me on Twitter, which is the Don_KTR. And that's the best way to kind of keep up to date what I'm doing, and can actually even ask me questions on there and I'll answer them.
Really?
So yeah, I will talk to people. So.
Oh, that's just insane. I don't even know.
It is a form of communication. I'm limited to 120 characters. Well, I think it's 120. I don't know which one it is, but
all right, man.
But you get it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I think everybody out there gets it, and we are gonna move on to K Mega, who was late, but I guess like Ja Rule says, he thinks he's always on time.
I am. I'm here.
Yeah, Mega, why don't you let people? I can't do it anymore.
Oh man.
Yo, Mega, why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you and what you are doing throughout the week as well, man?
All right, man. You can come and catch me on my channel, KMega45. Be so kind to go subscribe to the channel. Go check out my people from Intro Media Gaming. Yes, I said it. I said it first. I didn't have to say it last. Yes, go support the people from Intro Media
That
Gaming.
little 100 in the corner will be happy about that.
Yes, little 100 in the corner will enjoy that. Hey
I'm
man,
not-
go look at Intro Media Gaming, man. Yeah, so and all the
I'm not
people
gonna
that
live
resides
down, am
there.
I?
Yeah, no, you're not going to live that
No.
down. That's going to be something for here in the future. But anyway, also check out the GRG podcast every Friday night after Crossfire. Man, you know what I'm saying, had a good show. It was a long show, so you're lucky, Otter, because if you don't like shows after 2 hours, I don't know what to tell you because we just go long.
That's why he only shows up as a guest every once in a while.
Every once in a while, but Don was there, and then that's what made the show even extra long because when you had Don and had everybody else, it just turned into. But it was fun. It was fun. The last topic was absolutely hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
Man, you can get me in trouble with that last topic.
I know, but
we just need to forget that last topic happened.
The last topic was great. My old lady said, "Tekken, huh?" I said, "No, baby, let me explain." And then that was my.
It's one of those questions that won't hurt my career, but it may hurt other things.
Oh, so wait, you were talking about Tekken like you always do? Oh, okay.
No. Real briefly, it was about the guy. He's a YouTuber and he leaves like this beautiful.
You notice
woman
that I see Tekken and he just goes off.
No, he breaks up with this beautiful meteorologist that she's a model and she's a meteorologist in Mexico. He meets her, they get together. Yeah. Anyway, so we talked about it. So the question that I asked the panel was that, look, if you had your significant other come and tell you that it's gaming or else, what would you choose? And so that people was put on the spot. It was pretty funny, but yeah. So go check that out on GRG.
Ooh.
It was really fun.
Really,
but
you're gonna pose that question like it's either gaming or like, oh damn.
Well, yeah, and then like if there was a compromise, what 3 games would you be allowed to play? What 3 games would they be? You know what I'm saying?
Games? You can't even pick franchises. It's just games.
Well, franchises but games basically where you can't
Halo,
play
Destiny,
anything.
and Forza.
Okay, all right. Halo, Gears. Oh, you said Destiny. I thought you said Gears.
Halo,
okay,
Destiny, and Forza.
Okay, all
right,
cool. But anyway, so check out GRG podcast, man, and big shout out because I see Lady Infamous in here. Check out Grown Women Gaming. Check out them. The ladies is doing their thing, and check out my boy Triple Cup Chuck stuff, Viral Podcast, man. You know what I'm saying? BGST, hell, man. You know what I'm saying? We all up in here, man. Let's do our thing. Thank you for
we are
rocking
all
out with
intertwined, man.
Yes, we are. Trust me, we are. So thank you.
But guys, on that note, it is Saturday night and the gamers got a game. I know I want to pick my controller up. I also did not have dinner yet and I am hungry. But I'm just going to end it the way I end it every Saturday. We will check you out next Saturday for the next podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace. Oh, the Dev and the Gamer coming Wednesday. Get ready.
Yeah, we're doing that.